Hi. Today I'm reviewing another book. Jade, Forever in My Heart, the story of my battle against cancer. So this book was published a while ago now, in 2009, and I came across this copy in a charity shop. So when it was first sold, the money went to Marie Curie Cancer Care. Then I bought it from a charity shop and it made another contribution to my local hospice. It's a very readable book. You get a sense of Jade's personality, bubbly and enthusiastic. I don't know if she wrote it all. It's in the form of diary entries, which sound as though she probably wrote it, but I think she must have had a ghostwriter as well, because it goes on until when she's in bed and incapacitated, basically. So yeah, I think she must have had a bit of help. And the final entries are spoken by her mother. It's an astonishing testament to life, even though it's actually about death. It sort of blends life with death. There's never any sense that now Jade is going to give in to the cancer or that she's lost her mojo. And during the course of her treatment, she's already been booked to appear in a pantomime just before Christmas, the Christmas before she dies. And she's already having chemotherapy at this point, but she won't give in. So here she's talking about the pantomime. She's been for her chemotherapy. She says, "Afterwards I got straight back into the car and drove to Lincoln. The panto opens in 2 days and I still don't know my lines. I just sing la 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 when I forget my songs." Can you imagine? I had a bit of practice with the living TV crew sitting in the car park at lunchtime to try and get my head around the words. So she does the dress rehearsal and she's sick in the theatre car park and her tummy's all over the place, and she doesn't think of saying, "Well, actually I can't do this pantomime." It's like it's driving her forward. She just has to do it. She says, looking back, "I've had problems with going to the toilet for years now. Last summer, I went away with Danielle to a caravan park and ended up constipated, and even blew off on camera while they were filming the living show I was doing back then. It cracked me up. I had back pains too, but I never ever thought it was anything as serious as this. I had cancer then, no clue." And then she takes her family on holiday to Tenerife, despite feeling so ill she can hardly walk. At this point, most people would be retiring to their beds and giving up on life, but Jade decides to organise a wedding for herself, a very grand wedding. Well, her and her boyfriend, obviously. It seems like as soon as the wedding's over, she wants to organise another big party, and this time it's her own christening. But by then she's a little bit tired and can't manage the grand party that she really would have liked. It's a touching story, and I'm sorry to say that I never paid much attention to Jade Goody during her brief career of notoriety. I wasn't into that TV programme Big Brother, which made her name. Celebrity culture is incomprehensible to me, but she was a natural at it. It was her world. Sunbeds and getting your nails done and going to the hairdresser and orchestrating publicity and shooting your mouth off at the cameras. She made money from it, lots of money, and good on her. But I do remember watching that notorious clip from Big Brother. It was in all the media and then it was on YouTube, so of course I had to go and see it. The one where she had that argument with the Bollywood star Shilpa Shetty. And the media came down on Jade like a pack of politically correct hyenas trying to destroy her. So I actually had to take a look at what all the fuss was about, didn't I? But my impression of that fight was Miss Shetty was a bit of an entitled diva. She went completely overboard with the righteous indignation, I thought. Okay, so Jade overreacted. But that's why they got her in the Big Brother house, because of her big personality. It's television. And that's why I never watched the show. I don't enjoy seeing people ripping each other to shreds as a spectator sport. The thing is, though, that they didn't destroy Jade. She bounced back. She was bigger than the media wolfpack. And, unlike them, she was honest. When her diagnosis was made public, people were saying really horrible things on the internet, like Can't believe Jade Goody is talking about having cancer when it's just a few abnormal cells. Loads of people get that. I have no sympathy with Jade Goody. It's like karma. She said all those horrible racist things to Shilpa Shetty and then she got cancer. I mean, well, we know what the media's like, don't we? We know what people like to post online when they're not there in front of the person to see the reaction they're provoking. She says, what kind of sicko would make up a story they had cancer? That's something I'd never dream of doing. Some people are sick in the head. Call me a racist, a bigot, a chav, whatever, but don't call me a liar, especially not over this. So her consultant is being put on the phone to her while she's in the Indian Big Brother house. And she knows it's going to be bad news probably, because why would they want the consultant to talk to her? She says, I knew straight away what it must be about. I'd had ongoing problems with my periods for years by this stage. And then on the 2nd of August, a Saturday night, I collapsed at home, bleeding really heavily. I called an ambulance and they took me to Harlow Hospital. No one knew what was wrong and they kept me in for days doing loads of tests. I had blood tests and a scan and they all came up clear. Then on the Wednesday they did some laser surgery. I've had this done twice before, so I know what to expect. It's still not nice though, I'm telling you. So this was before she got invited to join the Indian Big Brother house. And it's clear that she was in dialogue with doctors and doctors weren't diagnosing it, and one does have to wonder why. It says people were asking why she suddenly had this test just before she went to India, if she didn't want to make some publicity thing out of it, and she says, I'd been having those tests for years and years. I'd had my first smear aged 16, after which I had laser treatment to remove abnormal cells, then a second one at 18 and more laser treatment. At 22, I was pregnant with Bobby, then I had Freddie, and after that my smears were normal. I had a miscarriage with Jack's baby in June 2007 and had an abnormal smear then, but doctors didn't seem worried about it. Test after test said there was no cancer. What a position to be in. So within months after the miscarriage, she says she was admitted to hospital with agonising pains and they did an ultrasound and said it was all normal. And the horrible pain and awful heavy bleeding kept coming back over the next few months. You would think, having already had abnormal smear tests on at least 3 occasions, they could have taken this a bit more seriously, wouldn't you? She says, one doctor even said to me, you're an attention-seeking hysteric and wouldn't know a normal period even if it hit you. What a thing to say. What destroyed her was not Big Brother, but cancer. And the most shocking thing about that was that it was unnecessary. There was a lot of media coverage of her decline, and they willingly relayed her message to the public about the need to get your regular cervical smear tests if you're a woman. I had the impression that she was regretting that she didn't get tested in time to catch the cancer. I thought the message was not to do as she had done, but it seems I misunderstood the headlines. She actually was getting regular tests, and long before her cancer was finally diagnosed, she'd been going to doctors with symptoms that were never properly investigated. It was the doctors who were the problem, not Jade. The NHS failed her. She refused to sue the NHS, although her mother tried to persuade her she should. But to her mind, it would only take away funds from where they should be going to pay for people to be treated. She wanted to encourage people to get their cervical smears and not put them off. I would probably have felt the same, but now I'm thinking the NHS is not infallible and it does need to be taken into account. There are always new horror stories emerging of bad practices, people not receiving proper care, babies dying during birth. Jimmy Savile abused helpless hospital patients for years and the NHS bosses turned a blind eye because of the money he was bringing in. We can't view doctors as gods anymore, the way we did when the NHS was first founded just after the war. Our war. Jade got her diagnosis in August 2008 in full view of the public and the media. She was filmed getting the TV call on the set of Big Brother. She had started a new show for Big Brother India with Shilpa Shetty, who she'd reconciled herself with, and it was all going to be continuing. And it's surreal to think of having your most awful personal moments broadcast to the world as they happen. And then to be suspected of doing it for publicity. But Jade chose that world, and she was playing it for all it was worth. Her aim was to accumulate as much money as she possibly could so that her boys would have a decent future, a better future than she did. She comes across as a genuinely loving and caring person, not an empty-headed media bitch. She died in April 2009, and she was buried in her wedding dress, at her request. I always used to take at face value the things that were said in public by people in authority, like medical experts and government representatives. And it seems to me that the older I get, the more sceptical and cynical I've become. And in my next instalment, I want to mouth off about what our government is doing for Ukrainian refugees. So I'll see you soon. Bye.